How's it going, everyone? Akibana 0 here. Sad times recently. The news came out several days ago that our beloved voice of our beloved Drunkle Crow, Vic Mignogna, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, has been recently let go from the show, from RWBY. And that has come to light because of allegations of sexual misconduct during events and other appearances. This is quite a sad time. I'm actually pretty disappointed in the whole thing, and I kind of want to talk about it with this video because there are certain aspects to it that I wanted to kind of provide a little bit of my opinion. First things first, I'd like to clarify that in this video you cannot expect to hear anything about how I feel or what I think if Vic did it or not. I don't know, guys. I wasn't there. I have no idea. I don't know the guy personally. To be quite honest, I had never heard of him before RWBY. I typically watch my anime in Japanese and have never had the pleasure before this to actually enjoy his work. So I know nothing of the guy. Don't even follow him. I don't know him personally. So providing an opinion about this whole thing, I really don't feel I have the right to do so. And I'm just not going to go into that direction. I'm not even going to start talking about whether or not Rooster Teeth is catering to SJWs or whatever else the hell you guys want to talk about. I don't like these terms. I don't like talking about these kinds of things. This is something you're never going to hear me discuss in any topic whatsoever, and that includes this one over here. So let's, first things first, tackle the whole decision that Rooster Teeth made, because there are some people out there who are against it. They think it's unfair. They think it shouldn't happen, and it's quite understandable. I mean, Vic's voice is iconic at this point, and it's perfect, and we've kind of grown to attach it to Drunkle Crow, and that's something that can't be taken away from us. It's the reality of the matter. But the other reality of the matter, guys, is that Rooster Teeth has a property to protect. They have a company to protect. They have their whole organization to protect, and to keep it attached to somebody who is facing such allegations that, let's be honest, are literally impossible, nearly impossible to prove or disprove. It's not something that we can judge them for. We cannot put fault on Rooster Teeth for this. I am in full support of it. It disappoints me, but I do support it as a decision. It makes sense from a business standpoint and from a PR standpoint. They don't want to be associated with a person who has this kind of thing over their heads. Whether or not it's true or not is not here nor there. To them, the important thing is that their IP is protected, their company and their employees are protected, and so is their community. So I don't really feel we can put any blame on Rooster Teeth for this decision that they made. It just makes sense. I mean, you wouldn't want to have somebody like this associated with you, especially if you're unsure about how things might have gone. I mean, it could be that Vic is completely innocent, and that's fine, or it could be that he's not. I mean, either or, if you don't know what's going on, lots of people will not want to work with you if you have somebody on your team who has this kind of background. It's sad, but it's the reality of the matter. And that is something that is happening a lot in the world, and it's great that we're coming to a point where people feel that they can speak out about these things and no longer allow somebody, because they're in some kind of position of power, to just take advantage of them no matter what. And again, I want to clarify this. This is not me throwing an opinion out there about Vic. Like I said, I don't know the guy. No idea. Okay? All I know is that there's an allegation, and that's it. It's not, I'm not going to even dispense whether or not I'm of the innocent until proven guilty or vice versa. My opinion on this matter is completely irrelevant. So let's keep it at that. What does this mean for the future of RWBY? Our Rooster Teeth's official answer has been all creative decisions are going to remain unchanged. Now, this could mean several things. The most obvious thing that it means is that Crow will continue down the path that he's already in. He's going to continue being a character on the show, and that's probably going to be under the capacity that he is voiced by another voice actor. Now, who that is, we'll have to wait and see. There's a couple of things that Rooster Teeth can do here if they do choose to hire somebody else to voice Crow. And I know that it's going to be very hard to find somebody who has that very iconic raspiness to his voice that Vic has, and it's going to be tough to find somebody to be just as iconic. And let's be honest, guys, it's probably not going to be the same regardless. It's just not going to be the same. We have to keep that in mind. But anyway, if they are to find somebody else to voice Crow, they can do a couple of things. They can just go on about it, business as usual. They don't address the change of voice. They don't do anything about that. They just carry on like nothing has happened, and that is that. We all just accept and get used to the new voice actor, and that's all. Now, the other thing they could do, and that's something that you guys been throwing around a lot in the comments on some of my videos, is that they could address it story-wise. Like maybe Crow might quit drinking, and that might just help him improve his voice, and maybe there could be some kind of gag or something about the fact that he's changed and that he sounds more confident and more optimistic. Could be. Personally, I don't want it to be addressed, and I can explain why. The reason I don't want it addressed is because we already know that a change has happened. We already know what has happened. Most of us fans already know what's up. We're on this show 24/7 all the time. We know what's going on. So to us, a change of voice doesn't need to be addressed because it would kind of operate a bit like a salt on the wounds. At least for me, at the very least. I would feel like they're patronizing me or something like that, and I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want them to address it, unless they can do it in a way that makes sense, or if it was something that was meant to happen down the line. Either way, that's fine. But personally, I feel let's just go about it business as usual. Let's not add anything to the show that was not meant to be there. Let's not try to soften the blow with some gag or some kind of story explanation. Just let it go the way it is. For us, it's going to be a change, and it's going to be different, and it's not going to be the same, and that is that. We might grow to love the new voice actor, but that doesn't mean that we will accept him or her in the same way that we would have we liked Vic. It's going to be divisive, nevertheless. Now, the other option is that Crow is no longer a character on the show, and there are, again, a couple of things that could happen over here. A, Crow just kind of flies off somewhere, and he's just doing things off camera, and occasionally we hear something on a radio or a call or a text, and that's that. Which to me does not make sense story-wise at all, because Crow has been following Team Ruby to Atlas. He's with them. Doesn't make sense for him to suddenly be like, hey guys, you know, there's some business elsewhere for me to do, so I'm gonna go. It doesn't really make any sense to me for him to do something like that. So I think that would probably be the worst thing they could possibly do, just have him exist off camera. That would be bad. It would kind of help with the voice actor if they have him just constantly on a call or some kind of text, because they could cover up the voice somehow with some static or whatever, but it still would be the worst thing they could possibly do in that regard. And now the other thing, the one thing that none of us really wants to happen, but it does in some ways make some sense, is that Crow dies. And Crow is actually one of the characters that I personally believe story-wise could make some sense for him to die at some point in the show. And it could be that, might be that we've struck gold, and this is the time that he dies, maybe early Volume 7, and that's it. The end of discussion. We've managed to cover our butts at the right time and right place. But I highly doubt that we're that lucky in that regard. I highly doubt Rooster Teeth is that lucky in that regard. This would be a just insane coincidence, and I wouldn't buy it either way. If they were to say like, oh, he was gonna die in episode 5 of Volume 7 anyway, I wouldn't buy it regardless, even if it were true. For Crow to die, he generally, as a character, he's a very dramatic character. For him to die, it could occur in several different ways, which could make some sense, and maybe that was meant to happen way later down the line. They could bring it forward and make that happen. Lots of things. But it is one of the options that could exist, because I think in some ways that would kind of be also a little bit symbolic to us, the viewers, that, okay, Vic's no longer the voice actor. I guess the character is as good as dead. Which I'm not saying that's what it is for me. I like to give new voice actors a chance. I do like to allow for other people to take over and see what they can do. But to be quite fair, guys, and this is my other point over here, is that things are just not going to be the same. I'm not saying the show is going to be bad. I'm not saying that the show is going to suck. I'm not going to say it's not worth tuning in anymore. No, there's so much more to the show than Crow, right? I mean, the main characters are Team RWBY, okay? They are the stars, and these are the characters that we follow the most. So it stands to reason that the show can carry on even if we don't have Vic around to voice our beloved Drunkle. But the point is that when it comes to Crow, it's not going to be the same. Vic has been voicing this character for several seasons. He's gotten into the spirit of it. He knows the character. He's grown into it. There are going to be some growing pains at first if there is a new voice actor. There's going to be some difficulties down the road for them to, try and prove themselves. And that's a lot of pressure, okay? That's a lot of pressure. Right now, Vic is a very tough act to follow. And that's going to be something that we're going to have to cut them some slack for with as well. I mean, they could be an amazing voice actor and they might pull it off right out of the hat, but we have to be very lax on this, guys, and we have to accept that it's not going to be the same, but it could be just as entertaining. Is it going to be just as iconic, the voice? No, but very unlikely. I don't want to say no, but very unlikely that it's going to be. But can it still be entertaining as a show? Can Crow still be an engaging character, the character that we love and that we've grown to appreciate in all of his dimensions? Yes, we can. And I think that that's going to take a little bit of us, of giving from us, the viewers and the fans. And now on to something that really is something that I wanted to talk about this, because you hear it all too often that things like these happen at events, and they happen a lot, and there's a lot of reasons why they happen. And I'm going to preface this by saying that I do not believe that people are genuinely bad or good. There's no such thing. We're just all people. We've grown up in different ways. We have different ideals. We have different ideologies. And we have different ways of conducting ourselves in public. One universal truth that exists, though, is that we can all take precautions to protect ourselves and to keep ourselves from falling into traps like this. And the kind of advice that I'm going to dish out here is the kind of advice that I would give my own daughter. If she were to go out to an event, to a concert, to a party or whatever, I would always caution her about these things. Because as a teacher, I understand that there is one kind of dynamic that exists between a person that has a certain degree of power over another. As a teacher, I have grades that I give my students. I try to inspire them. I try to to educate them. All of this, to some degree, gives me as a teacher a certain degree of power, because students have these wants from me, and because they want something that I can provide. There is a bit of a power dynamic between us, and that exists even more when it comes to people we admire, like voice actors and actors and singers and public figures, YouTubers, all of that stuff. We admire these people, and we hope that we can get a little bit of their attention when we get to see them in public, especially in an event like RTX, where a lot of the voice actors and voice actresses are just walking around among us. I got to see Gus and I got to see Barbara. They were just 10-20 meters away from me. And that was surreal. That was completely surreal. And I loved that aspect of it. And this is the thing, is that both people who are in that position of power and the people who are attending events, they can do a lot to protect themselves, because these kinds of instances of misconduct, they just happen sometimes for no reason. Sometimes they happen because, one person wasn't able to fully understand that power dynamic. So one thing to understand, guys, is piece of advice number one: whatever you do, you're interacting with somebody that you admire there at a public event. Keep it public. Keep it public. Don't have expectations that this person will become your friend or more or whatever. Just keep it public. Any interaction you have with these people, keep it in front of the eyes of your friends or other event goers. Absolutely keep it in public. This is something I'm taught in my teacher training a lot. If I'm going to interact with a student one-on-one about their performance or about their grades or whatever, always make sure that there's some kind of way that people can see me. Because there are people walking around the school a lot. Our doors have windows on them, so people can always see. This is important because you don't want to create a situation where where one party or the other gets the wrong idea. And this is something that can happen very, very easily, especially in cons where people dress up in different ways or in different sort of manners. Things can go in different ways, and you're even shell-shocked or starstruck by the fact that you're seeing somebody that you admire so much and they're talking to you. It's very easy for you to start getting the wrong idea. I know, guys. I've been young. I understand this very, very well. The other thing to keep in mind is never have any form of physical contact. And I know that sounds very strict, very, very strict, and I get it. Tell me what, can't have a handshake or something? Well, a handshake is fine, guys. But there are different kinds of handshakes. There's a handshake like the one that Trump does where he pulls you in, which, Jesus Christ, if anybody ever does that to me, I might even elbow you, right? But you can shake their hand from a distance. That creates a distance, that creates a barrier, that sets a boundary. But anything else, like a hug or embraces, all of that stuff, you're taking a photo and they got their arm around you like that, or you got their arm around them like that, that creates the wrong idea, guys. And that is the thing that you don't want. You don't want to create the wrong idea. Boundaries are very important in these situations, and you need to try and not just set them, but also adhere to them. And understand that the people that you're interacting with there are there to either do a job or have a good time. And that is all. The fact that they're speaking to you, it's great, and it's amazing that we get to interact with all of these people at these events, especially now with social media and people being more open and trying to engage their audiences. But again, we have to understand that there is a dynamic, and that dynamic oftentimes is a dynamic of power. And we need to accept that that's the way it is. Get whatever pleasure we can out of the fact that we can get an autograph from Barbara, maybe get a pun out of her as well, and shake hands and say goodbye and just say, yeah, I managed to interact with Barbara, and that's great. That's amazing. And I think it's amazing that RT does a lot of these events and gets their people to mingle around with the fans. It's amazing. But we have to respect their boundaries as well as they have to respect ours. And this is a message to people who do work for RT or anybody who goes to events or is a public figure. Guys, you have your limits. You have your boundaries. Keep them, okay? There's a time-honored tradition in South Korea. As far as I know, it's true in South Korea. They do this thing, celebrities between themselves, when they're especially of the opposite sex interacting with each other, like getting a picture or something. Men do this thing where they kind of they hug an actress or a singer, female singer, and the hand just doesn't touch them. They kind of have it like this. They call it polite hand. And this is something that we kind of need to sort of understand that it exists because they don't want to create the wrong idea, because it's very easy to create the wrong idea in this time and age with social media and photos and cameras everywhere. So guys, take that into consideration the next time you go to an event. Keep yourself protected, make sure you're always in public, and be sure to adhere and set your own boundaries. And make sure that everything is just good, clean fun, guys. That's all you're there for. Why ruin a good time by attempting to go a step forward just because you have maybe this false sense of a fantasy in your head for whatever reason? And that's my piece on this, guys. I'm very sad that Vic is no longer going to be the voice of Crow. Very, very sad. I know there's a petition out there for Vic to be rehired. Guys, let it go. Seriously, let it go. I understand you're all disappointed. I understand that some of you think it's not fair, and I get it. And it's possible that Vic did nothing wrong, and he might have just been entrapped. It's a possibility, but we can't know this, guys. We just absolutely cannot know this. We weren't there, and there's very, very few ways that we can get any form of proof, and I doubt we're ever going to see any form of proof whatsoever. If you want to support Vic, if you want to show him support, if you want to tell him that you're with him all the way, tweet him, talk to him. I'm sure that he would absolutely appreciate you doing that. Make sure that you're doing it in the right way. Don't be overbearing. Remind him that you guys always loved his voice as the voice of Crow. It's not going to be the same to you. And be sure that you show him that there are still people out there who love him. Because let's face it, guys, this is going to be very problematic for his career for a very long time. Very long time. It could even be irreparable. But as long as we show as fans, we show him that we do still appreciate his work and we want to believe in his innocence. If you truly do believe it, that is the way to support him, not with a petition and not by blasting RT that they should rehire him and that they made a stupid mistake. It is what it is, guys. That's the way the world works. I can't say anything else. Anyway, how do you guys feel about this whole situation? Sound off in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, leave it a like and subscribe to my channel by mashing on that subscribe button because it helps a lot. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons for supporting me, and you can do the same by hitting up patreon.com/Akibana0. I know a lot of you are looking forward to more reactions from me. I'm very behind Genlock at the moment. We're closed with Ruby 6, and we need to kick off Camp. We need to finish Camp as soon as possible because there's going to be more Camp in the summer, and I'm really excited for that. I'm going to do my best. I'm feeling better now, as you can hear, maybe a little bit nasally still, but I am going to jump on the horse as quickly as possible and start pumping out all those reactions for you guys. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm going to catch you as always next time.